all you sparks out there in the Matrix. It's 2024. How's everybody doing? Things are getting a little crazy out there. And what we're about over here is to try to calm everybody down a little bit because really all you can do is control yourself at the end of the day, right? So today, what I'm going to talk to you about is frequencies, okay? Specifically music, but more along just tones and what we allow to come into our personal space, which again are vibrations at the end of the day. Now, we all know with quantum mechanics and quantum physics that we all are basically vibrating. Everything's a vibration that's just at a certain frequency, right? Even with the radio stations that we listen to. You got AM, you got FM, and then you got different bandwidths along that dial. And as you know, turning the radio just a couple of clicks to the right or to the left is a difference between hearing something and not hearing something. So, and have you ever driven long distances? Right. A good example of where I'm going with this to try to kind of put it into your head is if you're listening to a radio station or a song and you're out and you're just trying to tune into a certain um, song, let's just say that you want to hear. It's when you're close to that sound and signal, it's fine, and it's a strong signal. But the further you get away from it, the more distorted it starts to get, and the more distorted it starts to get, the more you kind of really can't stand it. It almost starts to aggravate you. Now, why does it aggravate you? It's not just because you can't hear it, because it's actually rubbing you the wrong way, like literally that frequency going into you. And of course, it's through your ears, but it's all over until it doesn't matter if it's your favorite song, boom, you're just going to get rid of it because it literally starts to distort you on a frequency level. So again, this is going to sound a little conspiracy related, but the more you dig and the more research that I've been doing with this stuff, it just flat out starts to piss you off because apparently back in the day, and I got my notes here because we're talking about certain frequencies, and only eight eight vibrations, eight, the different hertz, the solfeggio frequencies a lot of people are familiar with, just like turning the dial on the radio. Just a couple of clicks to the right, a couple of clicks to the left is the difference between hearing a signal and not hearing a signal. So these minute differences are actually very important. So apparently, back in 1939, there was a standard tuning pitch for musicians, right? The way they tuned their instruments, believe it or not, is to certain frequencies. And 432 hertz was the standard at which the music was, everybody's equipment was attuned to. So, for some reason, they changed it to 440 hertz, which again is only eight vibrations differently. However, those eight vibrations is the difference between a harmonious intake of this vibration or a disharmonious intake of this vibration. Now, it's on a subtle level, and to the trained ear or the non trained ear, you might not even think it's a big deal. However, when they did try to change this over, apparently in 23,000 musicians all protested, understanding that there was, why would you guys want to change this? Who wants to change this? But apparently the powers that be got together and decided that they were going to make everything the standard 440 hertz was the way the music was going to be played. And when you do a little bit more research, it turns out that, again, this is all on a subtle level. This is all a cumulative effect, right? Again, to put a pause right there, we all know that there's uplifting music and there's music that makes you angry, right? Again, if you want to relax, you're going to listen to relaxing music. If you're ready to go to the gym and work out, you're going to put on AC/DC or something metal because you want to get yourself pumped up, right? Everybody is maybe familiar with the way they used to do that with plants. You take classical music, then you take just kind of like regular music, and then you take like heavy metal music, right? And then no music, just silence. Same plant, same set of conditions, just different types of music being played. Obviously, each was separated in its own chamber. Well, of course, what happened was the no music grew, to a pretty much a standard way. The metal music, the plant pretty much died. It not only didn't grow very well, the fucking thing wound up dying. And then the music with the uplifting music, with the pure tones, the more kind of esoteric music, again, that was in the tone of 432 hertz. That plant grew like a motherfucker. It was the biggest plant out of the four. Okay. So now you'd think, okay, well, that's just plants. It's like, well, that's a more quick, obvious effect, towards something. But again, on a subatomic level, we're all vibrations. We're all taking in frequencies. And the fucked up thing about this is that it's so subtle and it's so small, the cumulative effect to us, just like, a turtle boiling in soup. You just don't even realize it's happening. So a little bit more research into this is that it finds out that this just eight differences in vibrations to this 440 from 432, it shuts down 95% of a person's brain after a while, their brain functions, and keeps you in a lower level of operation. So you're in the lower chakras, the male chakras, the aggressive chakras, and it actually cuts off your heart body mind connection. And so now you think, oh, again, same thing with me. It's like, no, let's do a little bit more research here. Let's go back a few thousand years to the Roman Catholic Church. Well, apparently, the Roman Catholic Church back in the day, 417 was the standard of the standard tuning for all of the musicians, right? Specifically, the Gregorian chants, right? The hymns, the uplifting music that you get in church, right? Well, for some reason, going back then, right, the church actually did the same thing. They decided to change everything to 440, the 440 hertz, which you look up. They call it the devil frequency. It's like it's an evil tone because it actually fucks with us on a vibratory level, and it's cumulative. It's something that you don't even realize. So then you find out that that same church, it was Pope Gregory the First. Again, you can look this all up, people. Conveniently misplaced 152 of the best Gregorian chants were just lost. They just lost them. Fuck you, you just lost them. The church wants to control people. They don't want you to be uplifted. They act like they do, but here's your proof. And again, there's a lot of shit coming out with the church and stuff that's going on that I'm not even going to get into over here. But personally, I've always had a problem with the way the church kind of went about the fact that, you got to come through us to find God. It's like, well, no, it's a nice place to go on Sundays to share. But if you're making it sound like we got to go through you to get to God, then fuck you.
Good over evil. Fight the real enemy.
Because I know and a lot of people feel that way, and that's why a lot of people have issues with the church. So that's a separate video, but we're going to kind of go and again do the research, people. Now, why the fuck would the church want to change the tones, right, to 440? It's like, if it wasn't a big deal, then just leave it alone. It's like that, and that in and of itself should tell you that there's something that's going on over here. Okay, so now recently, what's called the hymn to Saint John the Baptist has resurfaced. And I'll tell you, I'm going to try to put this on the video. I don't know if I'm going to get a copyright thing. I always run into copyrights because I like to throw music up there that goes a little too long. And then you got to, under a certain amount. So I'm going to try to put this up actually on the end of this video. But if not, you guys look it up, because I listened to this and I'm telling you, I had tears in my eyes. It was like I just sat there and I was just like, and it's like, wow, it's just the frequencies that come into us. And so you're thinking, listen, I listen to good music and it makes me feel good and everything. It's like, yes, there's the way that it's tuned, the music, and then there's also the content of the music, like the Beatles, they sing about love and being happy and everything. And then even though that's recorded at a frequency that's not the best for us to imbibe into our systems as well. So now let's fast forward a little bit more and let's go down a little further down this fucking rabbit hole because it pisses me to fuck off. Okay. So apparently in 1950, okay, 1950, all musical instruments, not just musical instruments now, because now we're in modern society, right? But broadcasting, TV, and radio was all supposed to be at 440 hertz, the devil frequency that fucks with us again, a vibratory level that builds and builds, and then you don't even realize it. But again, and what is and guess who is behind all of this? Guess who is behind all of this? One of the five corporations that pretty much control everything these days and are starting to crumble, and you know the Rockefeller Foundation. Yeah, the fucking Rockefellers, which again, they got their nose in so many fucking nefarious things. Now you got to ask yourself, now why the fuck would the Rockefeller Foundation care one way or the other? What frequency is being broadcast to the people? It's well because they want to control us. That's pretty much keeping you in an ego, in a left brain function that's just destructive. And so anyway, there's this guy, you can look him up, Leonard G. Horowitz. He basically wrote a book called The War on Consciousness. The War on Consciousness. What? Yeah, because again, it's not just what is being broadcast to us, it's how it's being broadcast, not just the content. So there's a gentleman, if you want to look him up, called Brian T. Collins, who actually has a website, and that there's a growing metaphysical movement behind this. Main thing is that people really have to kind of just understand that we do have an energy field, right? An auric field around us that we not only give out vibes, of course, of how we feel, but we intake vibrations from we're literally like fish in a sea. Instead of being in water, though, we're in vibrations. And unless you're kind of aware and cognizant of what's coming in at you, you're pretty much at the mercy of whatever the fuck the system or wherever environment that you happen to be in. I mean, again, we all know when you walk into a room and there was just a fight, right? I mean, you can almost sense it. It's in the air. Or if you walk into a happy place, right? That's why people like to walk into bars, and it's fun and everyone's uplifted and everything. As soon as you walk in, it's like you could almost start swimming around in it. So the examples are all around us, and that's why, if you're sad and you're listening to sad music, it kind of helps you get it out of your system. But if all you're doing is listening to sad music, then you're just going to be one sad motherfucker. So you have to almost take like ownership that it's not like you're sad, so you want to listen to sad music. It's like, well, you might be sad because you're listening to sad music. So, like, what are you watching on TV? What kind of shows are you watching? Is it blood and gore and people getting their faces ripped off and everything? Well, that kind of shit stays with you, especially if you watch it all the time. Once in a while is one thing. But, if you binge watch the Walking Dead or something, well, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be in the best mood. You can't just fucking turn around and open up Christmas presents after, a 10-hour binge like that. So start recognizing that we are susceptible to not just people that are negative, but also people that are positive. Choose who you're around. And you don't have to stay or be around people that are one way or another. So start recognizing that, there's a time and a place for everything. Feng Shui. One of the first things that Feng Shui tells you, especially in the modern age, is that don't have a TV in your room. In the old days, they used to have the digital clocks. Even just a digital clock would throw the EMF off. Now, again, it's not and that's why even 5G on your damn cell phones has got such a powerful EMF field coming out of it. A lot of people leave it pretty close to their head on the nightstand, and you wonder why you don't sleep very well and everything. Well, that's it's draining you. It's almost like having a negative of leaving the radio in a static in the background. Like, you wouldn't do that, would you? No, it would make you nuts. But it's on a more subtle way. Even the TV in your room, even when it's off, it's still emitting a low frequency. So try to get the TVs out of your room, or at the very least, unplug them. Your Wi-Fi, if you can at night, unplug your Wi-Fi. You can always boot it up in the morning, and I promise you, you'll have a much better sleep, a sounder sleep. And the more you kind of pull yourself out of these different types of electromagnetic fields and frequencies, and start measuring yourself, you'll start to prove it to yourself. So, all right, there, Sparks. Good luck out there. Protect your vibrations like it's your currency, because it is. It is your currency. And we'll talk to you soon about something else. All right. Be careful out there.
Resonare fibris mira gestorum famolitorum sove polluti labireatum Sancte Ioannes Nuncius Celso veniens Olimpo de patrimonium fore nasciturum nomen et vitae seriem gerende ordine promit ille promisi dubius superni pedidit prompte modulos loquele serve formasti genitus perempte organa vocis ventris obtrusor recubans cubili senseras regem talamonentem hic parens nati meritis utarque abdita pandi sit decus patri genite cui proli et tibi compa